All right, it's been quite a while since I did a Starlink video because this system's just been working. But about a week ago, it just died. And I just could not establish a link between the dish. This is my old Gen 2 dish. But I couldn't get a link between the dish and the Gen 2 router. So after quite a bit of back and forth, they finally determined that the dish was probably defective or bad. And they sent me a new dish. The new one, now they don't have the Gen 2 anymore, so they sent me the Gen 3.
Give me just a minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay is the partner you need for all of your electronics and manufacturing needs. You can order high-quality custom-printed circuit boards, 3D printing, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, and more. The order process is quick and easy, and they have fast delivery. Visit PCBWay through the link below, and you will receive a $5 discount off your first order. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video.
In this video, I'm going to swap the Gen 2 for the Gen 3 dish and router, which unfortunately that means I've got to run a new antenna wire because the antenna wire now, I understand it's just like a Cat 6 Ethernet cable now. You know, and you can even use that in a pinch, you could use that. It doesn't have the same waterproof ends on it if you were to just use a standard Ethernet cable. But they've eliminated that proprietary cable they used on the old Gen 2 dishes. They did also send me a new mount because the Gen 3 dish just has like a little kickstand. It doesn't even have a normal mount. It doesn't have the automatic tracking anymore. It's just fixed position. So you get a new mount, or I got a new mount, and the app will help us to align it properly. But we'll get into that when we get there. Let's get this out of the box and see what we got with this. First, let me open up the mount. Now, they had a pretty good selection of different mount styles. I elected this one. Right at the top of my head, I can't remember what it was called. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen so you know which one I selected here, but it seemed the most versatile. You can mount this on a flat surface or on a vertical surface, and then you can adjust the angle of it, you know, anywhere in between there. So that goes in there. And then you can adjust the dish to whatever angle you need for your surface. So we'll look at that mount more as we get up there and put it on. Pull tabs. Hard to say. I'll have to get up there and look. The dish actually looks a little bit bigger than the other one. I don't know. Another card. You know, QR code so you get the app. I've already got the app, but I'll have to add a new dish. This one has an external power supply, whereas the old Gen 2 was inside the unit. You just had a power cord. Totally different shape. Of course, it's lighter because it doesn't have the power supply in it. And one kind of cool feature of the Gen 3 is it's got the Ethernet built right into it. You don't have to have the external Ethernet module anymore. And it's got two. I'm just going to run this out to an Ethernet switch that I've already got wired into a bunch of my devices, so I don't need to, but it's nice that you have that option. In the dish, you just have a little kickstand on it. That's all there is, so I don't know how you would... Oh, there is some... If you did want to mount this down to something, I guess you kind of could. I wouldn't really trust it, but there is some screw holes here that you could screw that down to a surface. There would be nothing attaching the other end, so it would potentially be able to move around a little bit. I don't know if I'd trust that on my roof in a high-speed wind or a dust storm that comes around here in Phoenix. There's your essentially a Cat 6 Ethernet cable, but it has some, you know, good sealant to seal it from the elements. But there is not a button to push. It's just like a little rounded off clip to hold it in. Kind of nice they're using a standard cable, so if something happened to your cable, you would have an option to just use a standard cable temporarily while you wait for a good one. Now, you wouldn't want to use that outdoors with a standard Ethernet cable because it would not weather seal it, but you could do it. So it is already October, but it's supposed to be well over 100 degrees today, so I got to get up on the roof and get this started before it gets too hot. So let's get going. All right, before we get up on the roof when it's 100 degrees out there almost already, I'm going to get this bracket installed on the back of the new Gen 3 dish. To get this off, you just have to lift this little tab. It's easier if you have this down so you got something to hang on to. So pull that up, and then you just slide straight out. And then our new mount has a new base. And that you just lay it down in there and slide. It goes underneath of the lip around the edge here. And then these little clips lock into these two little holes right here. So push that in there firmly until you hear it click. Now the pole mount has this angled end on it with these holes. Those holes lock into these little clips inside of here, if you can see that. But there's slots that go around there that go into these slots. And then these holes lock into 4 little spring-loaded tabs that are around the edges there. So that should just press fit in, and again it'll just snap when it locks in. And it is keyed such that it will not let you put it in the wrong way, so if I try to stick it in wrong, it just won't go. But we'll get that lined up and then we'll just push it in. It should snap in. Then all you do is mount the base to that. Now there is little, there's teeth inside of here. Let me show you that. So you can see around there, there's teeth, so that's going to keep the dish from swiveling around if it gets windy. So on the side of this base, you have a little thumb nut that moves that silver piece in and out, and it pinches it against the side. And can't really see it. It's hard to get an angle inside of there. But on the side of that, on the left side there, there's some little teeth that engage. Let's take a quick look in the hardware box and see what you get with this mount. So they give you an assortment of these little sticky pads. They're adhesive on one side, like a peel and stick, almost like a silicone cube or square. But you get 2 long strips and then 4 small squares of that. And in the instructions they show you to mount the long squares like that, not onto this, but onto your mounting surface. And I guess they just give you these as other options because they don't show these specifically in the instructions. So I guess you'd have the option to put the long strip, or you could put the one little cube on there to give it some extra adhesion. Plus that it's going to help you seal it up around the hole. If you put it on a spot on your roof that you don't want any liquid to leak through there, this would seal that hole. Give you a couple of large lag bolts. And one last little baggie of parts. Let's see what's in here. Okay, so here's a whole bunch of little clips for mounting the cable along the eave or whatever you need. So you screw that into your surface, and then you can route the cable through that. And with that open, you can flex that open and get your cable into it. But you got a whole bag of those to run it for quite a distance. Without further delay, let's get up on the roof and get this started. All right, I'm going to try to get some hat cam footage here too. You can see I got my hat on with my run cam. Let's get this old one removed. You can see I still got my pallet here. I never did bother to change it because it was secure. It wasn't going anywhere with all these blocks on it. I am going to move it though up here closer to the shingles. I don't know why I decided I wanted it down here lower, but I'm going to move it up here so that the cord is not exposed to the elements as much with the new one. So let's get this detached, the old Gen 1. Now I think what I'm going to try to do is tape the new cord to this one and just fish it through as I go. We'll see how that works. There we go. So I don't see that there's any differentiation between the 2 cable ends. They're exactly the same, unlike the other one that had different ends. These are the same, so it's not going to matter which way you go. I need to dig out this old silicone. All right, pushing it through. Nice, managed to get it in. I pretty much need to fish all of this through the hole. Alright, I'm going to have to, once I get that situated and figure out my right lengths and stuff, I'll put some fresh silicone in there. Just realized I should have ran that cord through there first. Guess we'll do it like that. Yeah. All right. So I guess we push it through that. Push it through that. And I'm going to have to align that once it's running. I'm guessing it'll be something like that, but won't know until we power it up. Alright. Well, there, the little clip goes towards the outside of the dish. Alright, we're plugged in. Push that through. Alright. Kind of lock it in place where I think it will be. We'll come do the final adjustment later. Alright, next thing to do is we're going to go get in the attic, pull that cord through, get all the cord over there, and then fish it down through the wall into the pantry and just plug it in. Right over there is where it comes through the roof. Well, it's just feeding right down through there all by itself. That's cool. I just need to get it to come down through this hole. It will be gold. Nice. We did it. Alright, I just need it to get to go over to about here. Here's the new router, totally different shape and size. And then you got a separate power supply. I know, I still need to organize all this crap. You don't need to keep reminding me every 3 years all to get to it. Alright, I'm going to plug the power supply in. Looks like that's in. Let's see, there's our antenna slash Ethernet cable. The little tab on this one goes down. Let me plug the Ethernet. This is the Ethernet cable that used to plug into my Ethernet adapter. This goes into my switch here. So we'll just pick one. Okay, we're all connected. Plug in the power. Whoa. Okay, we got the little power indicator light. Okay, we're screen recording. Disconnected. Connect to Wi-Fi. Oh, there goes the dog. Entering Starlink network. Starlink found satellite and is attempting to join the Starlink network. So it's working on it. Determining alignment. Calculating orientation. Starlink is talking to satellites to determine which way it's pointing. So I don't have the ladder up on the roof anymore, so if it's way off I might have to pause and go move the ladder. Starlink aligned, no adjustment is necessary for best performance. Wow, I guessed it right the first time. Nice. Starlink connected. May take a few minutes for connection to stabilize. Ooh. Software update. It's already got 9 devices. I wonder if it automatically... Oh, these are all wired things. I was wondering how they got the password, but oh, the garage doors work because they're on that other network. That's another thing I'm going to try, because my garage doors used to not work with the old one. I'm curious if they'll work with the new one, so I can get rid of that secondary router. We'll speed through this software download. Looks like it's taking a bit. So, in case you're wondering, here's the comparison. The other one, it's pretty similar, just longer and skinnier, but lays down sideways. I know they do offer a mount for it, so you can hang it on the wall or something, but I don't have any of that. So it's downloaded an update. Now it says install now. Alright, so it looks like every time it reboots, it's going to calculate its orientation just to make sure it's straight. Looks like we got it aligned really well. And we still need to configure the Wi-Fi. We'll do that in a Starlink is aligned, no adjustment necessary. Alright, now let's configure the Wi-Fi. Give it a name. I always call mine Space Internet. And I'm not going to give you my password. Alright, I guess we're back online.
I also wanted to demonstrate how the Gen 2 mesh nodes will work with the Gen 3 router. I had already set up, I've got 2 of these mesh nodes, I've already set one of them up. I videoed it, but it didn't go exactly as the instructions said. I did finally get it connected, but it was kind of convoluted, so I wanted to redo the procedure with my second mesh node and try to demonstrate the proper procedure. As of right now, I've got it plugged into a power strip. I don't have it turned on. I'm overlaying the Starlink app
on the screen here, so if you can see it on the side of the screen. Now previously with the old app, I don't know if this is an app change or a Gen 3 router change, but it used to be when I first got these mesh nodes, as soon as you plugged them in, after a few seconds, it would see that there was a new node on the network, and it would ask you if you wanted to connect to it. And you would just hit yes, and that was it. It didn't seem to do that the first time, but I'm going to try that again. If it doesn't, the instructions say to cycle power on and off to do a hard reset, because this mesh node is still technically bound to my Gen 2 router, which I no longer have. It's been shipped back to Starlink at this point. So I need to, I possibly need to reset it so that it's no longer bound to the Gen 2 router and I can get it bound to the Gen 3. But the first thing I'm going to do is just power it on. We're watching the app and we're going to see if it automatically recognizes it or not. If it doesn't, then I'm going to go into network devices and I'll tell it to discover new, because that is an option now on the app. Just turn it on. We'll look at the bottom. Okay, I've got the power light. You probably can't see that, but it's right here. There's a little power indicator. So watching the app, I'm just going to give it a bit of time and see if it sees anything before I push any buttons. I'm guessing it won't, but let's see. As you can see on my app here, I've got the one mesh node. It shows the dish, shows it's connected. Got the router over here, and then it shows the node. It's kind of cool how it gives you all this data on here. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything yet. Let's click on the network here. And then you can click on nodes. So right here you would click add mesh node. I'll just try that right now and see what it does. Again, I don't think it's going to find anything until I do the factory reset, but I just want to confirm that to make sure everybody's got the proper information. And just so you're not waiting, I may speed through some of these screens when it's just sitting on the same screen for a while, so that the time you see looking at these screens may be a little different than what you see here, because I'm going to expedite it just to keep the video moving. Alright, so it's been searching for a little while. I'm not seeing anything, so I got a feeling it's not gonna. So let me back out of this. So I'm going to power this off. I'm going to do the cycle, so I'm going to leave it off for a few seconds. And I'm going to do the on-off cycle 6 times, and I think on the 6th time I'm going to leave it on. We'll see how that works. Alright, so let's try here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'll hit mesh or add mesh node again. Let it look. Okay, so now it found a new mesh node. Now it's asking if we want to pair it. So let's say yes, we'll pair. Okay, so it's added our second node. It'll take it a few minutes here to fully connect, but that time it did go much smoother, and that was basically by the book. I don't know what happened last time, but I tried all kinds of different methods and flipping the switch different times, and maybe I just wasn't patient enough with the procedure, but that one worked exactly as described by Starlink. Okay, so it says it's all connected now. That did take a couple of minutes. Now I can take this router, move it back to the far end of my house where I need that extra coverage, and we've got our full network back up and running with the Gen 3 router. And I've had this installed for a couple of weeks now, and it's been operating. I'll get on the PC. We'll do a couple of speed tests just to show you what kind of speeds we're getting. I suspect it's going to be pretty much the same, but it has been working pretty well for even with the Gen 2 before it failed. We've been getting pretty good speeds, so we'll get a little demonstration of that and we'll wrap this up.
All right, I think we'll do a couple of speed tests here. First, I've got speedtest.net pulled up, and we'll just do that one real quick. Maybe we'll run a couple, see what kind of average you get. And there is some other people online right now, so that might be affecting my overall bandwidth, but we'll see. Oh, upload's looking pretty nice right now. Yeah, it's not bad. 94 megabits down, 25.8 up. Let's run that one more time just to see what's going on. Like I said, I think there's 3 people doing stuff online right now, so hard to say how much effect that'll have. Okay, similar, maybe a little slower. All right, let's pull up just a standard Google speed test. Run speed test, see what this one comes up with. Wow, it was considerably slower. See how it took me to a server in Vegas. Let's run that one more time. So there you go. That one was, I think, a little faster on the download, a little slower on the upload, but certainly workable. And like I said, I've got some other people online right now that might be affecting that. But it's satisfactory. I do see sometimes upwards of 200 megabit per second download when I run some tests when everybody's not on. There you go, if you're curious about that. And like I said, that's pretty similar to what I got with the Gen 2. And it's not real consistent. It jumps around, you know, depending on what's going on. There you go. Hope this video is helpful for you. If you have interest in any of other Starlink stuff, I've got quite a few Starlink videos. Look through the playlist and find something helpful. Thanks for watching.
Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring this video.